Today I want to talk about the book that is solely responsible for making me enjoy reading as a teenager. That book is Blink by esteemed author Malcolm Gladwell, whose photo you can see right here. Little background on him: his mother is Jamaican and his father's English, which would make him naturally Canadian. He wrote for The New Yorker for a bunch of years and bundled some of those collections together to write his first hit book, The Tipping Point, in 2000. The accolades from that book brought about him writing Blink in 2005, which landed him as Time Magazine's most 100 influential people of the year. Damn indeed. Fun fact, out of the Time Magazine's 100 most influential people of 2019, none of them are me. So this book opens up about the story about the J. Paul Getty Museum curating a new kouros, which is the Greek term for a statue depicting naked male youth. The museum spends around 14 months getting records, recovering data, doing everything to make sure the piece isn't a fake. The museum curator, Arthur Houghton, brings in his friend Thomas Hoving, who's also a sculptural expert, to pretty much brag about the piece. And right away upon seeing it, Hoving knew something was not right. So they're like, okay, alright, I see you, Hoving. They bring in an archaeological expert from Athens to look at the piece. And his first reaction was a wave of intuitive repulsion, which is the same phrase that is used by people who've seen me dance. So now they're starting to get annoyed. They bring in other experts who all get the similar feeling that something's not right about this piece. And after more months of research, they finally find little discrepancies that lead to it essentially being a fraud piece. So how are some experts all able to know right away that there was something wrong when it took the museum 14 months of research and they caught nothing?
I don't know.
One of the key terms and phrases in this book is something called thin slicing. Thin slicing is essentially the ability of our unconscious to find patterns in situations and behaviors based on very narrow slices of experience. To give an example, how long do you think you'd need to hang out with a couple before you got an idea of where their marriage was at? A day? A week? Well, after watching video clips of only their interaction, psychologist John Gottman could predict with 95% accuracy after an hour whether a couple would split up or stay together. In just 15 minutes, he was still at 90% accuracy, and in 3 minutes of watching tapes, he was still above 50% accurate on whether a couple would divorce. 3 minutes is not a long time. Just ask my wife. But how is this possible? It turns out, sometimes what matters most is not quantity, but quality. By watching just several minutes of a couple talking about something that mattered to their marriage, Gottman and his team were able to pick up on the little nuances of voice, facial expression, and body language. Essentially, using thin slices of information, he was able to accurately depict implications on that marriage. The brain is able to thin slice with relative ease whether we're aware of it or not. But a lot of that processing information takes place in our subconscious without our ever knowing it. Gladwell refers to this section of our brain as the locked door. We can try to get into our subconscious to see the inner machinations, but ultimately, trying to see the process proves unsuccessful. Here's an example. A man named Vic Braden was one of the leading tennis coaches in the entire country. And somewhere late in his career, he noticed that when a player was going to serve, Braden could tell before they even hit the ball that they were about to fall. But how did he know this? Was it the way they tossed the ball in the air? The way their arm swung back? How much fiber they'd consumed that day? Here's a clip. See if you can tell the moment something's about to go wrong.
Matt.
You couldn't see it, right? Me neither. We always assume we want the most information possible so that we can make the most informed decision. But perhaps having too much information can be a hindrance. For example, when doctors at Cook County Hospital in Chicago had an overflow of patients in the 90s, all of whom were complaining of chest pain, thinking they were having heart attacks, doctors were spreading themselves too thin and using a lot of time, resources, and nurses to diagnose what ended up being agita. The nurses would come in, take their vitals, get their info, and then make an informed decision on where they were at and then whether or not they were having a heart attack. They instead were able to thin slice by taking a few well-placed questions and making decision trees based on what they deemed urgent risk factors. By making small, less informed information with the right questions, they were able to more quickly and accurately diagnose whether someone was having a heart attack or stress or had just had some Taco Bell. This video is not sponsored by Taco Bell. This book does a tremendous job of exploring the many cavernous trenches of the human consciousness, and Malcolm Gladwell has a knack for making stories relatable, entertaining, and even educational. I found this book by accident when I was 17 in the library, and it has changed my life. Speaking of libraries, if you'd like to help more people have more access to more books, you can donate to the link below to the Little Free Library. Donating below will help grow a community of educated human beings. There's also a link to my Goodreads account if you want to follow along and see what I am reading next so that you can avoid it. Also, if you think I'm a no-talent hack, be sure to smash that dislike button and show your friends so they can, I don't know, make a parody video or something. Till then, Mandy out.